Hello, gorgeous girls. This week is on cycle syncing workouts and also what they are and if they actually work. So let's dive into it. This trend has been going around social media, I think now for a little while. So TikTok, Instagram, I think there's a lot of talk on it at the moment. And I'm just going to kind of nip some myths in the bud and also make you be aware about things that are actually relevant for us and things to just be able to train around or eat around and also be able to manage yourself without any delay in progress or anything like that. So there's a few different phases obviously in our menstrual cycle. If you are on the pill, this is going to be the same. However, you might not actually know when your menstrual cycle is happening. Now, when we're in literally shark week, so we call it, our testosterone levels do rise slightly, which means that we actually are stronger during that week. Now, a lot of myths online will tell you to go light, to stop training as hard, do Pilates, all that kind of stuff in place of your actual training, and tend to make it seem like there's some complex thing that you just don't know, but it's not true. Except I'm going to show you what to be aware about today and how to train around it. So probably why this topic resonates right now is because a lot of women are more focused around listening to our bodies and personalizing their fitness rather than just doing basic routines that suit everybody. And I get that. Every person's training block is going to be different slightly to how they want to look. And also, their nutrition is going to be slightly different with their amount of energy intake. Now, during your menstrual cycle, simply you're going to feel really hungry during that week, whether it be before or after. Normally, it's before. You tend to, personally for me, I'm just going to talk about my experience for a second because every one of you are going to be slightly different to me as well. But I always find that I become very snacky, very peckish, more hungry than usual if I'm keeping my food the same every day, which I do, which is why I kind of notice these things. And, if you kept yours the same every day too, you'll probably find this month, okay, that's when I start to feel a lot more hungry than usual. My cycle actually might be starting for me in a couple of days' time. So you might find that you're wanting more food, except you don't actually need more food. Your body does not require more food. It's like when we go straight into the week of ovulation, we feel like we need more food, but in fact, we don't. It's literally just like the hormones telling you, and they play havoc on your body and your mind, giving you that kind of feeling of, I need more food. And you tend to give in a lot easier to it because you are in that phase of maybe feeling vulnerable emotionally, or you're feeling like in pain in some way, shape, or form, right? It's not exactly the most comfortable week for us. We do tend to find that food can be like an overall comfort for us. Now, where we go wrong is constantly eating food that we don't need because it is a comfort. That's where the lines are blurred, I think, with a lot of this social media advice. And they're like, no, you need to eat more to support your hormones. No, you actually don't, because if you weren't eating enough already, you probably wouldn't be reaching the goal and you wouldn't have a menstrual cycle. Now, first of all, you do not need a completely different program at all. Yes, hormones fluctuate, but if you change the training program, you're not doing yourself any favors. Technically, during that week of Shark Week, we have more testosterone, which means that we are more powerful. You're either going to feel like pushing the envelope or not. And each one of us is different into how we feel during that week, except some of us are going to grin, bear it, push through it because that's just the kind of person that they are. However, on the other hand, there's people out there who maybe you resonate with this, you just don't want to push during that week because it feels uncomfortable or you are uncomfortable, and that is okay, to feel that way as well. But just know that you do have more energy in the tank if you wanted to push with your training. If you're feeling crappy during that week, what I would do is adjust like this. I would honestly keep my main lifts. I'd maybe lower the volume slightly, but I'd keep my rep ranges the same. I'd focus on movement quality and also just shorten the sessions slightly, depending on how I feel. Because if I go into the gym and I'm feeling like, okay, things could absolutely go a really bad way right now, you know what I'm saying? I just don't feel like I can push a leg press today because it could end up quite messy. I just don't want to do that to myself. there is a way. Maybe you might just want to take off a little bit of weight on the leg press and simply just like maybe even change it to like a hip thrust or something a little less pressurized in your core. I might do a hip thrust, perhaps some Bulgarian split squats, because even though they're deathly, you don't have as much volume included in both legs. I would probably flock to using like isolateral movements, which is going to be like your isolated one leg at a time type of movements. Then I'd finish off with maybe some kickbacks, some hamstring curl, and some leg extensions. At least then I know I've got kind of like a really good program still. I am targeting that muscle. I'm able to still push it, but I'm not having to push as much volume through my core section of my body. If you're feeling like you want to do that on the first day of your period, amazing, go for it. There's been a lot of times though I've actually switched my leg day with my upper body day. So I'll still do that and maybe put like a rest day in between the leg days, like that first leg day and the next one, just in case they back onto each other. So have one in the middle, and then I'll do like day 3, 4, 5 at the end of the week. So it might just help you alleviate some of that pressure that you want to like push in a leg day. Still use that first option with the hip thrust Bulgarians. Maybe that might be a really good leg day just to like swap that leg press movement with if you have a leg press in there. And then, you'll have one extra rest day to give it a couple of days just to settle down before you get into your next half of the week. Now, after your period week, you'll have your estrogen slightly rising. Your energy will also often improve. Some people do report to feel quite sluggish at the end of their period, which is quite natural considering your hormones have just been through an absolute just wild ride. So, some people do feel stronger. Otherwise, if you're like me, you might feel a little bit weaker towards the end of your period, which is normal. But I recommend just keeping your food the same, keeping your sleep the same if you can. If not, just an extra half hour or something at night might actually help you recover better. Here's when you can start to increase the load again and also train closer to failure in the rep range of, say, if you have like 12 to 15 reps, you could definitely push it closer to failure towards your 12th rep. Now, towards the middle of the month, you will feel quite normal compared to any other time. So you'll feel powerful, confident, quite explosive as well. You'll be able to put a lot of energy into those lifts and you won't have too much fluctuation in how you feel. And towards the back end of our cycle, you'll have week 4 again, where your progesterone rises. You might notice like a higher body temperature. The cravings will start to come in again, but the best thing with cravings at this point in time, you've got to also be a little bit more stubborn on yourself rather than giving into everything to be able to stop any pain or hormonal discomfort or anything. You've got to keep everything really the same for you if you struggle with that, because it's going to help you build a lot of resilience and knowing what to expect, right? Because take this for example, if you go out for like a massive pizza the night before, you're going to wake up the next day hungry. It's the same with your period. If you eat more the night before, you're going to wake up really hungry, and it's going to do that for the entire week. So try not to splurge on anything. Try to just keep it all the same. If you do tip over just a little bit, then that is so fine, but at least then you have that control of it. So the big truth with cycle syncing, it is not a thing. It is really just how you feel during your phases going through the month, and you don't need to switch workouts. You don't need to switch nutrition. Honestly, we are creatures of habit anyway, and for us to take away that habit means that you leave yourself open to vulnerability and way too much variables like your cravings, giving in, all that kind of stuff. So try to keep everything really quite the same for you. I honestly try to go into my period week feeling like I just want to keep it the same for everything, including my training, as best as I can. And if I need to make those switches with my training, then I will. I hope this video helped you out, and let me know what you learned from this below.